This is not like the healthcare debate where you're arguing over the finer points of Obamacare. This is about a government shooting and killing that has been caught on camera that everyone can see.
Welcome to the Daily Punch, brought to you by Punchable News. It's Monday, January 24th, 2026. Let's get into the mix. Here are your Washington headlines of the day. Number one, Congress hurtles towards a government shutdown after a deadly shooting in Minnesota. Number two, tax season here, what we're watching. And number three, the latest on Virginia and Maryland redistricting. All right, Jake, let's get into it. We are leading off Punchable News AM with the congressional angle after a deadly weekend in Minnesota. Shutdown cometh is the headline that we lead with. The Senate and the White House are suddenly in the middle of the most serious political crisis of President Donald Trump's second term. The deadly shootings this month by federal agents of two immigration protesters in Minneapolis have sparked a nationwide furor that's causing even some Hill Republicans to call for a full investigation in congressional hearings. This, of course, comes at a very important time because the Senate was set to fund the rest of the government funding bills for 2026, and this all of a sudden puts that at risk.
This is, as you said, and as we write in the newsletter, the most serious political crisis of Donald Trump's second term. It could be, aside from COVID, it's up there in the serious political crises of his two terms. The challenge here is that he needs to get the government funded, and that deadline is Friday. And if he's not able to do that, let's take a step back and say the House sent the Senate a 6-bill funding package that includes DHS. And that passed the House before the second deadly shooting in Minneapolis. And this is a deadly shooting, as you said, by ICE. And if there are any changes to this bill, the House has to come back in. Now, the Senate Democrats have already said they are not going to vote for a package that includes ICE. So if they change this, the House has to come back. And as of right now, I don't see any Senate Democrats voting for anything that includes any ICE funding. Now, the Democrats say that Senate Republicans should just split out DHS, rather, and fund the rest of the government. Republicans say they're not going to do that right now. That's their opening position because there are a lot of Democratic priorities, frankly, a lot of Republican priorities in those 5 other bills. So they think, why would we fund the rest of the government and let them have a negotiation on DHS? The problem here is Democrats believe, and there's something to be said about this, their position here, Democrats' position here, is incredibly strong. This is not like the healthcare debate where you're arguing over the finer points of Obamacare. This is about a government shooting and killing that has been caught on camera that everyone could see. And I think it's a lot more difficult of a position to hold for the administration. And they seem to realize that based on my conversations with them over the weekend. What say you, Anna, about the politics of this?
I mean, it has shifted so dramatically, right? I mean, I think one of there's two kind of things, and you hit on them, but that are really important to think about where the politics are here. One being, this is a leverage point, right? And you heard for the past several weeks, some Democrats calling for the caucus to stand up to the Trump administration when it came to DHS based on the behavior of ICE and the behavior and posture of Kristi Noem and others in the Trump administration. And there wasn't a group of Democrats that were willing to say, like, okay, yeah, this is the reason. To me, what happened over the weekend changed the entire politics of it, changed the entire dynamic of the Democratic caucus. And so, as you say, they are much more unified, even than in the healthcare debate. You have Senate Democrats who historically have been anti-shutdown. You think of a Senator Cortez Masto, for example, who are now on the record saying that they support this strategy. And so I think Republicans are going to come back into town here and have to figure out what their next play is. And, this is one thing when it comes to funding, but the administration has yet changed its posture when it comes to what is happening in Minnesota, how long they're going to be there, and so there's a lot at play beyond just what they're doing on the funding front.
And the challenge here, and yesterday evening, I think the president gave an interview to Josh Dawsey of the Wall Street Journal in which he said, we're going to leave Minneapolis at some point, and we're going to investigate the shooting and things like that. That is a good first step, obviously. The problem here is that Democrats are going to want a wholesale change in ICE policy. And we wrote this in I think our special edition over the weekend. House Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, asked for a number of very important to him, very important to Democrats, changes to the way ICE operates writ large. This isn't like get out of Minneapolis and we'll pass DHS. This is we need wholesale reforms of DHS's policies in order to pass funding for DHS. And those kinds of changes would require, number one, Donald Trump admitting what ICE was doing was wrong, and number two, saying that it needs changes. And that's not something he's been willing to say as of yet. And that's not something that his administration has been willing to say. They've been on television defending this.
Right.
So, that's where it gets tricky, Anna.
I mean, I think the other thing that kind of the politics of this, right? You do have Republicans, congressional Republicans, calling for an investigation into what is happening, right? And so you see a fracturing, certainly somewhat publicly, but definitely behind the scenes of, lawmakers. You had the National Rifle Association over the weekend putting up public statements breaking with this administration on the idea of the right to carry, and that all of a sudden, some of the statements that were really inflammatory, they're losing even some of their allies, I would say. And so, yes, this is going to be, I just think it's a multifaceted problem for this administration. And the biggest thing that, I think everyone is going to watch, because yes, the House doesn't want to have to come back. They're not supposed to be in here. One, they could come back. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's oftentimes congressional recesses get canceled for certain instances. Or if they were to make changes or strip it out, they could, have a small shutdown for a couple of days. I mean, we'll have to see. That we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but we're going to be watching and covering every single moment of it, because we don't know exactly where things are going to actually end up here by the end of the week. All right, Jake, let's move on to the number 2 story of the morning. The IRS kicks off tax season today in an unusual position, the agency being run by leaders juggling multiple jobs in the wake of a brutal year of turnover and without a confirmed commissioner. The Trump administration has made it a widespread practice, we write, to have high-profile leaders wear multiple hats. That's drawn little pushback from Republicans in Congress, but we are going to see this play out in real time, certainly when it comes to the IRS.
Well, good thing tax season is not complicated, Anna, because the IRS doesn't have a commissioner. Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, is the acting IRS commissioner following the firing of Billy Long, and Social Security Administration Commissioner Frank Bisnato, who's in a newly created CEO role. And it's not the ideal situation for the IRS during the IRS's busiest stretch, and members of the House and Senate are suggesting that it's not great, to be honest with you. The IRS is leaderless right now, has no one at the top of the tax processing agency during this busy time. The administration has not really made it a priority to get somebody in there, which is very interesting. So a very good item from Laura as we kick off tax season, which, Anna, begins today.
Pretty interesting fact here by Laura Weiss. The IRS has had 7 different commissioners in 2025. Including long, stunningly short tenure.
Maybe Marco Rubio could do it, Anna. He's running now also the Miami Expo. He's got the bid for the Miami Expo. He's the National Security Advisor. He is the Archivist of the United States, and he's also the Secretary of State. So just give him IRS, too.
We will see what happens. All right, let's run to the number 3 story of the morning. Redistricting wars. 2 key mid-Atlantic states are scheduled to make major redistricting moves this week. Of course, this is in Maryland and Virginia, key states for Democrats who have done much better in redistricting than expected, but is also kind of it was to go state by state. I mean, they're trying to make moves here because they're concerned about what Republicans are going to do in Florida.
Yeah, the big week for Maryland and Virginia, and it could be the week the map comes out in Virginia. Virginia Democrats said they plan to release the proposed new map by the end of the month, ahead of the April 21st referendum vote. Now that Virginia says they are going to release the map before people vote, which is not required, but they think it's the best political move. Either a 10-1 map, 10 Democrats, 1 Republican, or a 9-2 map, 9 Democrats, 2 Republicans. I think clearly some in the legislature want that 10-1 map. I'll be interested to see if early in her tenure, Abigail Spanberger does that. That'll be a big move. They need to get basically a ballot initiative through the state ahead of April 21st, a referendum. And in Maryland, the Redistricting Commission set up by Wes Moore, the governor, passed, but there will be increasing pressure on Bill Ferguson, the state Senate president, who has been kind of wishy-washy on what he's going to do. He says there's not enough votes. Wes Moore seems to disagree with him, but that would be eliminating the only Republican left in Maryland. Andy Harris on the state's Eastern Shore, kind of cracking that in half and giving it to two Democrats. But again, Anna, Democrats say Republicans started this, and Democrats say they're going to finish it. So a lot of pressure to get those two done.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thanks so much for listening. We appreciate it. If you like the Daily Punch, share us on social media. Tell your friends. It's the best way to find out about us. And of course, you can go deeper on all these issues at punchbowl.news. Have a good day and stay safe, everybody.